Okay, Kong wanted to come down by the little creek that's overflowed its banks here. She didn't believe me that it's deep. They never believe their dads.
That's why I fell in.
Last year she fell in and we had to go rescue her.
I'll see how deep it is. Not that deep.
Well, you walk out a little bit and let me know. I'll hold your hand.
No! It's still deep. The zipper goes there.
Zipper? You big coward. You gonna run out there? Nope. Zipper's going in the opposite direction. Well, let's walk over here and see it a little bit more. So, whoa, I just fell in. That's steep. So, there's the raging part of it. That's the extent of the creek all year for the raging part of it. And then it dries up in about, I don't know, the end of June for sure. It's pretty much dried up. So, anyways, it's quite wide. It's burst its little channel. Does this every year. Comes down out of about 4 of the neighbors. Crosses the range road. Yeah, it's good 2 miles anyways. It comes down, so probably about 4/4. Yeah, it is. And then it crosses the road here again in our place. It just clips the corner of our place. It's kind of more of a pain than anything, because it's deep enough, the channel's deep enough in some spots to jump it with the quad. You can get stuck pretty good and nosedive the quad into it, and then you got to winch it out and everything, and then it's not big enough to rely on for water or anything when they're out in the pasture, because like you say, it's dried up by the end of June. There's Kong. She just has to play in the water. So we actually walked over to the other side of the creek. So it makes a big U in our south pasture. This is where we look for frogs. Obviously there's no froggies right now because it's still partly winter out. It's the first week of spring, I think. But anyways, so there's the raging whitewater rapid part of it right there. I forgot this side gets a little bit more intense. So is it warm?
I just walked over to this tiny...
So there's a big clump of spruce trees that we have. And then if you look behind us,
Daddy.
there's a bunch more.
Zipper, be careful.
We got actually quite a bit of spruce in here.
Daddy,
It's all nice timber. So they're probably 50, 60 feet tall. They're starting to die in here now because there's too many of them for the water that they have after this creek dries out of here. So they're starting to, because of the drier summers, they're starting to die. So they're kind of naturally thinning themselves out, but it's kind of a waste at the same time because they're really nice timber trees. Harvest for timber and then leave the small ones and have them grow back and thin it down a little so you wouldn't lose them, because we'd probably lose 4 or 5 of these big trees kind of in each clump every year, and they dry out, and then when we get the wind at the end of August they just blow over or snap in half. So There's farm dog. Chicken Doggy. Right? So anyways, that's the little creek, and then maybe when we're out looking again for frogs this year, I'll show it, and it'll be about 6 inches wide and 2 feet deep, and then it'll dry off. Okay, we found most likely where the squirrels have been hanging out. They got the spruce cones just shredded in here.
Shredded.
There's the creek. It's overflowed its banks. It's up here in the... We're over in a different bunch of spruce trees. So, anyways, the creek's overflowed its banks. And this is where the squirrels must have set up camp for the winter. There it's piles of spruce cones that have been eaten.
Do you think this would be deep right here?
No, it's probably only maybe a foot deep, but it'll go over the top of your boots. Just stay out of it. The cows cross through here, and they're down the south pasture. They don't hang around too much in here because with the spruce trees, there's no grass on the forest floor or whatever, because the needles come down. They turn the soil acidic, and then nothing grows down here except other small spruce trees. And then the spruce trees have moved in, and they've killed off everything else in here. There's a little bit of aspen or poplar that still hasn't decayed, but it will one day. But you can see all the blowdown on the hill there. That's probably majority of it's old aspen, and then the spruce trees have moved in over the last 40 or 50 years and killed off the aspen. And now, like I say, there's too many of them in here, and it gets too dry, and then they dry out, and when the wind comes in August, it starts blowing them over and snapping them off. And it seems to be the bigger ones. We got ones maybe up to 3 feet in diameter, and they seem to be the ones that always snap off, but then they're the ones that are 70, 80 feet in the air. So